So next project is also brought by this team, Box. Box aims to bring the power of decentralized web, aka Web3, to everyone's home. So here we have Steve from DoraHacks team. Steve is the partner of DoraHacks, and he will be hosting the second project.
Yeah, thanks, Claire, for the introduction. Very happy to have Photo and Box team with us today. And yeah, without further ado, please proceed to the introduction of the Box project.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Box. So the mission that we wanted to fulfill with the Box is, with this project, we aim to make decentralized web more accessible for two groups. First, we want to fill the gap between front-end developers and the decentralized backend. Like we want to provide them simple-to-use APIs that connect front-end and decentralized backends like Filecoin and IPFS. And second, we want to make it easier for non-tech savvy people to use the decentralized web, like running an IPFS node on their laptops and store their data, connect to the Photos application that I explained in the previous project. So it's like both of these groups are those that we believe would benefit from this project. So current process from a front-end developer perspective is they need to run the full IPFS node on the client device. That imposes extra CPU and memory usage. Troubleshooting issues with IPFS is harder. They need to deal with sharing files with other people. They need to do custom polyfills to make it runnable on different devices like Android, iOS. And they separately need to deal with storing data in database and file storage. They have the option to use one of the wrappers that are like provided by, for example, Fleek, HQ, or Ceramic, which they provide wrapper that connects the developer to a certain backend at an extra cost to both the end user and the developer. So the problem here is there is right now no protocol for the front-end developer to build on top of decentralized solution like IPFS with a developer experience similar to what they have now. Like right now, what the front-end developer does is they just purchase a cloud service from one of the providers. They don't worry about the backend. They write their code in JavaScript, and they call the APIs, connect to the backend, like store files, store their data, and that's a disconnect here. Like that's what we thought is a disconnect here between front-end developers and the decentralized web. On the other hand, like non-tech savvy end users who do not they do not have an option to use the decentralized apps, which are designed by the developers, because they need to run an IPFS node to pin the files, or like that option requires obviously technical knowledge, or they need to pay for pinning service. So right now with the cloud, like they can choose where they want to store their photos, their data. Like they can store their data on their laptops. They can turn it to a server basically. But with IPFS right now, they need to be like knowledgeable on how to run an IPFS node on their laptops to turn it into a node. So we want to fill that gap. So to allow the users to turn their laptops basically, or any hardware, to an IPFS node. So the solution that we thought that should separate IPFS node from the front end totally, and it should support both data and database data and files. We needed to package like a JavaScript API library so that the front-end developer can easily import in their project, so like in their React Native, for example, application. And end users, we wanted them to easily turn any hardware that they want, like their old laptop or a Raspberry Pi, to a backend that can interface with the application or connect, let's say, to Filecoin for like more secure data storage. So the technology that we came up with here to use is IPFS for file storage, IPLD as like for the base of our database engine, libp2p to connect the front end and back end, and Filecoin as that extra like level of file resiliency. This is how we like this box works. So you see here that this is like a front-end application, like the Photos application. We give the user, the developer, a library called Graph. They import it into the application, and what it does is just it creates a swarm basically between and it connects the front-end application to the swarm on the boxes. Like on the box, what you have is a libp2p library which connects to the front. It talks to the front-end application. The front-end application, it sends commands or files using to this swarm, and then the IPFS node that is running on that box, basically the program actually interprets the command and sends the command to the IPFS node or IPLD for file or database, or connects the files, like the user basically, to the Filecoin network. So for front-end developer, the experience is very close to what they are used to right now. So they just import the Graph library in the front-end application. It's just like simple import, and it gives all the files and database functionalities, like because that's just the protocol that we are designing. It talks to the backend using libp2p. So like the commands are like we are implementing it in the library. On the backend side, they can install Box, which is another library on any hardware, which turns it to an IPFS-based file storage and IPLD database node. And developers can use the APIs that are present in the Graph library to fetch files from the box, send files to the box, store data. And Box can leverage all the functionalities of IPFS, like connecting to Filecoin or synchronization of multiple nodes using IPFS clusters. So why we chose IPFS was because we compared it to other protocols, and it provided three main advantages. First is that it is modular, so you can just replace any module. For example, here we are running our own libp2p swarm, and we put IPFS node on top of it. It has a huge community to mature it and is blockchain agnostic. And why we use libp2p? Because it's a light library. It can run on JS side and connect, do a peer-to-peer connection between two nodes. And right here, we are using it to interface with Box from the front end. It works smooth for both commands and files, and it works smooth with the IPFS network. And Filecoin actually is an obvious choice here because it works very smoothly with IPFS node, and is decentralized and has a large community and user base. The pricing is also lower than the traditional cloud servers. So prototyping, we did the prototyping, and we are toward developing the full application and connecting it to the Photos application as the first front-end demo of the box. So in July, we actually right now we are finalizing the transfer from front end to back end. And we hope in the next month we finalize file transfer and streams from back end to the front end. By mid-September, we should be done with the initial studies of database implementation, and by September, finalizing the database APIs. And we hope that by November, we can finalize all the functionalities of Box and connect it to Filecoin network. The team, that's the team that worked for photos as well. We all worked in pairs on different projects previously. So in pair, we all know each other. Kayvon is an open source and Web3 contributor and has experience in IPFS, blockchain, AI, and is working on the Box package. Kate is our BD and a strategic project advisor. He is a business development and commercialization specialist. Me, myself, I'm a full stack developer. And I've designed many ERP systems for large corporations and working on the graph package with Kayvon. And Ehsan is our senior hardware development lead, because Box is a library that can turn any hardware into an IPFS node. So Ehsan is actually helping us design a specific hardware for this purpose. Although it can be installed on any hardware like laptops, but we are actually trying to see if we can come up with basically a hardware specific to this purpose. And if you want to get more information on this project, you can just visit our website at fx.land or follow our Twitter at functionland. Kayvon, is there anything that I missed you want to add?
Sure. Thank you very much, Ehsan, for your beautiful presentation. I would just add that the whole idea behind Box is to provide the developers with the same experience that they were very much used to during all the ages of web development, which is that there exists a web server somewhere that they interact with and accomplish tasks there, right? So the main mentality within the IPFS community is, up until now, has been to turn these things into an IPFS node. So we want to, so Brave browser recently started turning its desktop application into an IPFS node for the same purpose. That's still not available on these devices. And the reason is that these devices are run by big tech. So we have Apple and Google, and they're completely incompatible. So there's file system differences. There are so many things. And also the biggest point is, do we really want our internet of the future to be saved on these devices? Because there are many limitations with these. First, we can lose them, right? We can put them somewhere and forget about where we left it, right? And secondly, there's resource constraint, right? So these are limited in the memory they have and the battery they have. So it's interesting to know that much of BitTorrent's seeding for illegal downloads and everything has been plummeted thanks to these devices, because people won't keep seeding because these devices run out of battery. So the main idea with Box is, and there's also a huge open source hardware community out there. So we have we have network attached storage community. We have Raspberry Pi, which is huge. And it's really interesting to see what kind of synergies these two big communities, the Web3 community and the open source hardware community, can come up together with and in creating this decentralized web. So what Box does is turns any hardware, be it laptop, either Raspberry Pi, into a personal server, which in turn any app can interact with. And Photos is our flagship app for demoing what that's in like a very sophisticated and necessary piece of software that many people's everyday life involves interacting with can be hosted in a decentralized manner. And it can provide the same guarantees that the traditional web provides. So the traditional web provides these guarantees like reliable backups. So we can be sure that when we upload our pictures to a cloud server, 10 years down the road, we won't lose them. So the idea of Box is replicating those same what translate to user experiences into a hardware that's owned by the users. And for that reason, so that's why Ehsan on that slide has two laptops. So the demo says that, oh, you can have a laptop at your home, and if your home is destroyed by a flood or anything, you can rest assured because there's another laptop or another Raspberry Pi at your parents' house that still contains all your data. If that's not enough guarantee, say if the app that we are using is not Photos, it's like your password manager and your wallet's data stored on your password manager, then we can jump to public blockchains like Filecoin and everyone. And that gives us that absolute guarantee that data would never be lost. So the same experience of Web 2 and Web 3.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin, for the supplement of the introduction of Box. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can see Box is doing great stuff. So maybe can you share with us what's the next step for the development of the Box program project? What do you foresee like Box will play in the Filecoin IPFS ecosystem, etc.? Yeah.
Sure. So with Box, we are not creating only wrappers around IPFS. So we are not creating a code that just calls into IPFS, essentially calling to Bitswap protocol that empowers IPFS. We're creating from scratch new protocols. So we're talking from the device via libp2p to a server. And for that, we are creating 3 protocols from scratch. So we've created, we're in the midst of creating the first one, which is called File Protocol. So this is the backend, when it becomes the hardware, becomes a laptop or Raspberry Pi at home. That's our implementation is IPFS. But whilst it's still on the device and trying to connect to the hardware, that's libp2p, and that's the protocol. And that's the missing piece in the developer experience. That is, as a developer, I'm used to having a server that I call to. So people are very accustomed to things like Microsoft Graph, for example, people who are working with the Microsoft ecosystem. So Functionland Graph, which is the library that talks via libp2p to the Box hardware at home, is the same developer experience. So, Ehsan, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I think that explains the Box. Like, as you said, our main focus is to give the same experience on Web3 to the current developers and users that are accustomed to a central server to talk to, but like we want it to be as decentralized as the user wants it to be.
Awesome. I'm very curious in the team. Like how long have you guys been like knowing each other? Like have been working on this project.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a very long time. So three of us live in the same city. Me, Ehsan, and Kate. So we have two Ehsans. The Ehsan that is present in this presentation, and the Ehsan who lives in the US and works for Amazon. So this Ehsan, me, and Kate will live in Toronto. And as Ehsan mentioned earlier, we've worked together on different companies and different projects beforehand for many years. But the idea of Box started last year when we were locked at house due to COVID. And we were getting threats by Jeff Bezos of the world, who were at the time were becoming like twice of billionaires that they were as before, but still cutting resources short for the rest of us. So the idea became, and we've been involved with Web3 from before. So we were doing, as a team, we were doing contract work for blockchain for Toronto companies here. And the idea that we had at the time, I'm reiterating what I said earlier, was how come the average people in the streets, everyone is not participating in Web3? And what is the missing piece? How come only the very nerdy type participate in running nodes on blockchain and so on and so forth? And the answer that we came up with was the user experience. The user experience is not there. So people, like an average person, for them to be able to contribute to Web3, first they need to get a PhD in computer science, which is not something that everyone wants to do. So what would be the alternative? And we wouldn't have to look further than what user experience they currently have, which is, we have photos on our Android device. I take a picture and it's automatically synced up in my cloud. How do we bring that same user experiences to the masses? And the answer was that software on its own might not be enough, because if we want everyone to be participants of Web3, they should also contribute the hardware. We should be able to ask anyone, are you hosting the internet of the future? Are you hosting a part of internet? And the answer should be yes. And that was the motivation. So we've known each other for a long time. The project started from last year, and the active development started this January.
And just to add to that, like Kayvon and Kate, they had worked together on an AI project previously before this project, and me and Kayvon on another front-end project. And Kayvon knew the other Ehsan for many years before this project. And that was at that time, about last year, we came together and we were just comparing different solutions like NAS and like home servers, home clouds, like just comparing them with what is driving people toward using them instead of decentralized web, although like this is a more secure and cheaper way to host your files. So that's how the idea got live.
Great. Very impressive. So I see what you're trying to do here. One last question from me is that do you see Box, like the protocol you're building, an open one, like that maybe now, maybe in the future will be accessible for developers to work with you on building applications? Like how can community developers engage with you rather than joining your team?
Sure, it's a great question. That's the hope. That's the whole idea that we have. That those are our ideals. So the whole design. So from design to development, everything is happening over at GitHub. So There's our GitHub handle called FunctionLand. That's the name of our team. So we're doing all the work from design to development openly in GitHub. Everything is open source. So there are two ways people can work with us. One is to come and meet us over at GitHub, or any other way. There are many channels that we've provided for maximizing engagement. Twitter, Telegram, we're posting videos on YouTube, all of those. And also from the usage perspective. So everything's published open source. It will be hosted. So the developer experience would be the same as from a developer's perspective. What they do with the current offerings from the big tech. So from the big tech for AWS, you normally have these modules that we install from NPM. It's going to be the same. So there is FunctionLand/Graph module that's published on NPM, and developers can just NPM install it and start developing right away with it. And that embodies the three protocols that we're in the midst of preparing. As I mentioned earlier, there's file protocol, which is started. There is data protocol, which is next. So file is for saving files. Data protocol is for any JSON document. And then there is the one that comes later on in the year, which is called AI protocol. And that's for having something like the big data stacks, something like Spark over at with an IPFS backend. So that is, I want to train an AI for my photos to understand this is my face and be able to identify my face in all the photos that I have. What's the traditional model of the world for doing this? It's send all of your data over to Google so they can train their models with it and make billions, as well as giving us the ability to find our own pictures within our photos. The decentralized way of it is to have a decentralized protocol that sends the data encrypted over peers, which is not Google, which is like my neighbor next door and Ehsan like a few blocks away. And using these many nodes, the model will be trained decentralized in a decentralized fashion. And then the results are aggregated back for me to use. And it will be that I'm providing my neighbors some service and my neighbors are providing me some service. So we've also thought about economics of it. So how the app developers can sustain and make a living. So open source app developers make a living from creating open source projects using this platform. And that's to be discussed later with the wider community. And hopefully by next year, we will have some tokenomics for how we can synergistically help each other accomplish our everyday tasks without bending the knee to the big tech.
And just to add to that, actually, that's like a separate discussion we started with Kayvon and the team about having, like later down the road, having a loyal agent as part of the Box module. And what it does is, because right now, when Netflix, for example, they want to suggest movies to you, you send all of your data to their servers, like they have your birthday, your name, like everything. And they use those to train their AI and suggest movies to you. So we are thinking, let's change this process. We have a box at our home. We send our data to our box. Netflix also sends their movies to the box, and it is box who suggests you the movies. But that's like further down the road, just
Awesome. Great. Thanks for the amazing explanation. Very impressive for both the introduction of photos and Vox. I see huge potential in both two projects, as in it's how it will engage users directly to our application without a lot of difficulties. Users have to bother with the blockchain and like most blockchain projects are not that user friendly for starters. And let alone like the problem that the two projects seeks to solve. They're huge, and it's very rare to see teams like tackle the problem from very, very creative standpoints. I think a lot of the ideas are very similar to how internet companies seeks to solve the problems, which is a very different prospect that from what most blockchain people seeks to solve the blockchain native problems. But this, I think those two applications eye on the big market there. So I see. I want to congratulate on your progress, and I see huge future for both of the projects. Maybe balancing like the focus of the two projects might be a challenge. We totally get that, but I'm sure you have a way of doing that. And so one last thing before this demo ends, I want to say that Box team, they are on HackerLink's Filecoin Grant 1 quadrilateral funding community grant program. And if you're watching this live streaming session, or you're watching this video after the live session, make sure that if you think their project's promising, make sure you go to hackerlink.io and you have a chance to donate to the Box project early stage. It will be a great way to support them as early curators. And I believe when the projects grew more mature to a more mature stage, early supporters will be properly rewarded in some way, depending on the team's decisions. It's great. I learned a lot from you guys, and I believe the audience, which should be at least hundreds of them joining us today, had a great time. Very happy to have you guys with us tonight. I'm in a Bay Area, so it's like evening time now. Any time in the world. It's great hosting you guys, and I see big potential in you guys. And we want to welcome you to DoraHacks community more often in the future when you reach a certain milestone where you want to further engage with the developer community we have, or the user general crowd, general community. When your product's ready, we would love to invite our community members to try them in the near future. So yeah, it's great having you guys. You guys have any last things you want to say to our audience today?
No, it was our pleasure presenting this project, and we hope it would be one step further toward having a decentralized web for everyone.
Yeah, I would like to wish everyone a great July, and I hope to see everyone in the community around and keeping in touch with everyone. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. It's great having you guys, Ethan and Kevin, today. I just want to finally remind you that, to the audience, that our grant officially ends at July 18th. So make sure you support, you go find the amazing projects in the Filecoin grant program like Box and Photos today, and vote for them before July 18th. Otherwise, it's going to be too late. So, thanks for joining us today. It's great hosting you. And audience, thank you for joining us for the past hour. I hope you have a great one as well. If you haven't subscribed to DoraHacks Bilibili and YouTube channel, make sure you do that so that you won't miss another great project demo like the Box and Photos teams today. And I hope you all have a great one. Yeah. See you in the next session.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Peace.
Take care. Have a great one, guys.
You too.